Welcome back to our Carey Academy Visual Arts Minors rotation. Today we're going to begin drawing together in preparation of our first project. Let's begin with something a bit familiar, Zentangles. The Zentangle method is an easy to learn, relaxing, and fun way to create beautiful images by drawing structured patterns. In your supply packet, you'll notice that I've included a sheet for you entitled Zentangle and Op Art Practice Guide. This is where we'll draw together. If you look at the first box, you'll see that the first Zentangle we'll practice is called banners. In order to create our banners, we start with a squiggly line. A note of importance is that my curves are reaching toward the sides of my paper, as opposed to just curling up and down. Once you have a squiggly line that moves from the left side to the right side of your box, I'm going to draw a vertical line down to the bottom of my box at the peak of each curve. You'll notice that I'm not drawing through other lines, so when this vertical line comes into contact with part of my original squiggly line, it stops. As you get the hang of this motion, you can continue to draw new squiggly lines above your initial banner to create fun layers. To create the illusion of 3 dimensions, you can add shading on the back pieces, either simply with a graphite pencil or with colors. Moving forward, our second Zentangle to practice together is called Yew-Dee. Although there are a few more steps in this tutorial, it happens to be a student favorite. We'll start by dividing our box into 4 quadrants by drawing a cross. Within each of these quadrants, we'll get fancy and add curved frames to our cross sections. Take your time here to ensure that you get each line framed, including that outer border. At the center of each of your 4 quadrants, draw a circle. Not too big, but not a dot either, and fill in. To connect the outer frame to the circle and center, we'll create curved lines that move from the corners to wrap around the circle. Notice how these lines are not straight. Do the same move for all of your circles. Almost finished. Our next step asks us to create stripes inside each of these wrapped connections. I like to work slowly enough to have my stripes stay pretty uniform. For shading, I just focus on these wrapped edges. Using even a graphite pencil lightly helps to create the illusion of depth. And that completes our brief but fun tutorial with Zentangles. Looking ahead, let's push ourselves a bit further in the exploration of op art illusions. Op art was a major development of painting in the 1960s that used geometric forms to create optical effects. The effects created by op art range from the subtle to the disorienting. Op painting used a framework of purely geometric forms as the basis for its effects, and also drew on color theory and the psychology of perception. A leading figure in op art painting was Bridget Riley. Notice in her work we see a dedication to line details. The space between each line is intentional. Let's channel our inner Riley as we create 2 op art illusions together. We'll begin simply in our third box with worms. To begin, draw a curved line that extends from the left to the right. On this line, make a series of dots. Shoot for 5 to 7 dots in total. Notice some of these dots can be farther apart, some closer together. Just have fun. When you have a trail started, we'll move on to creating our worms. In order to do so, make a curved line that connects one dot to another on one side of your line. It's very important to connect the dots. Continue this for each set of dots and create curves leaving your page. Once finished on one side, move to the other and create the same curves. Alternate one side and the other, keeping in mind that your curves should connect back to the dots and not overlap. As you keep working, you may notice that some of your worms will get large and overpower others. That's okay. Let it happen and just keep following your same simple steps. For shading, I like to use a technique called hatching. In hatching, I'm creating lines that move in one direction. To create softer hatching, I loosen the pressure as I finish my line, almost flicking my pencil off the page. I do this with every other segment in my worm. You may do so in black and white or in color. Our final op art tutorial requires the use of a ruler and a small object with a round base to trace. Let's begin with our object in order to trace a couple of circles in our rectangle. They can definitely be different sizes. You could also have one or two leaving the edge of your rectangle. Please just make sure one of your circles remains complete. Once you have your circles placed, get your ruler handy. We'll line the ruler against one edge of our rectangle and mark it every ½ inch, with small vertical tick marks. We then slide our rulers to the other side, line it up with the edge, and mark again at every ½ inch. Connect the dots. However, skip over any circle. Okay, so now we're going to move to our final two edges. Line the ruler up and mark it every ½ inch, just like we did previously. Then remember that important verb. We are going to slide our ruler to the last edge and do the same. Connect your dots one last time, skipping over any circles. If we measured carefully and were patient with our rulers, we should all have a clean checkerboard behind our circles. Yes? Perfect. But now that our background is detailed, neat, and beautiful, the circles don't quite fit in. Let's fix that by creating the illusion of depth. We can create the appearance of a three-dimensional sphere if we wrap the background checkerboard onto our circles. Let's work together on the circle that's full first. Begin with a very light mark in what you believe to be the center of your circle. From here, note the lines of the background checkerboard that have yet to be connected. If I'm looking at a set of lines, I ask myself, are they to the left or to the right of the center of my circle? If they are on the left side, my connecting line curves to the left. And if they are on the right, my connection curves to the right, like this. I do this for each set. When finished, I move to my horizontal sets. In order to create connections, I ask myself, are they above or below the center of my circle? If they are above, my connecting line curves up. If they are below, my connecting line curves down. For shading, follow traditional checkerboard guidelines, with the caveat that your checkerboard design should extend across the spheres as well. Take your time and mark the shaded rectangles lightly first if it's helpful. To finish, you can create a consistent and subtle shadow for your circles, beginning halfway through the bottom of your sphere and halfway up the right or the left side of your sphere. Just be consistent once you have shaded one circle. And there we have it, 4 new drawing tutorials in our visual arts tool chest to assist in our first studio project. This serves as the foundation to our upcoming cubes. Interested in expanding your foundation? No problem. On the back, you'll find some inspirational Zentangles and op art illusions to keep practicing. Stay safe, stay creative, see you soon.